Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for some of you just transitioned over from the panel that we had conversations with really some of our leaders here who are involved in economic development. And one of the questions that we wrapped up with was kind of what's next. And today I am really honored that we're really closing out the speaker sessions of today's with our own Krishna Rupavatharam. Krishna, thank you for being here. We could talk more about, some of the things that are going on here and what's next. So I will go off and I will let you share your screen and introduce yourself. Tell them a little bit more about yourself.
Thanks, Anne. Let me just first share the screen. Just want to make sure that everyone can see the screen.
I can see your presentation thing. Your okay, not the whole screen. I'm seeing like your
oh, not my slides. You can't see my slides.
Your I can see one slide, but it's also, what do you call it? Your presenter view. Not full screen.
Okay, maybe I didn't share it correctly.
Maybe shared the wrong screen. Do you have two screens up?
Hang on 1 second.
Exactly.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. No worries. You might just share it as a.
Let me share it again. I had it all set up.
Oh, you may not, yeah. There we go. That works.
Perfect.
That's it. Yeah. Perfect. Thanks.
Let me get my pointer. Okay, thank you, Anne. And hello, everyone. My name is Krishna Rupavatharam. I'm the director of Spectrum Lab. It's a controlled research center at Montana State University. We focus mainly on DoD-related research in microwave, coherent, and quantum photonics. So we've covered all the bases here, which are of interest to this event. Montana Spectrum Lab, as I said, is part of Montana University. I'm also a member of the board of directors of Montana Photonics and Quantum Alliance. You heard panelists from there earlier. Spectrum Lab is also a member of OpTech, and these two organizations are networking organizations, one inside the university, but facilitates collaborations with among researchers, optics researchers at MSU, and impact works from outside, bridging the gap between industry and university. So I should say that speaking last has the advantages of having very knowledgeable audience. They've heard amazing presentations and really good panel discussion. So it set the stage perfectly for me. So I can just breeze through my material. And I've also gathered a lot of material to actually incorporate into my slides. So I've been working till the last minute. So the set of slides you have, and from me last night, are very different from what I'm going to show at the moment. FICO systems. Let me just set the stage for you in terms of where we are. We are in southwest corner of Montana in the beautiful Gallatin Valley. And you can see pictures of some of the natural wonders in the Gallatin Valley. And the other reason why I put those slides up, the pictures up, are that Gallatin Valley also is a really good source for the names of some of the photonics and quantum entities here. So you'll hear this word Blackmore, Big Sky, Headwaters, and Bridger quite often in my talk. So we've several over the several panels and earlier presentations, we've heard a lot about this particular Venn diagram, right? That highlights the overlap between academia, government, industry, and each have their own role. There's a framework where government can help and support academia. There's a transition plan from research and academia to industry, and the industry and government working together to come up with the right policies, etc. I've also added on the bubble, which is the private investment, venture capital, other grants, awards, entities that can provide the right financial support for and make long-term investments for sustainability. So I just wanted to set the stage here to connect it to the ecosystem we have in Montana, especially regarding photonics first, and then transition to quantum. But I've heard Jason, Executive Director of Impact, describe the photonics ecosystem here. And thanks, by the way, for the earlier panel to actually clear up the definitions of clusters, ecosystems, etc. So it makes my job a lot easier. So you see this growth chart. This is something that Dr. Joshua, the Director of Optic, has generated, showing the exponential growth and the explosion of photonics and optics industry over the past 2.5 to 3 decades or so. There are actually really interesting slides on either from, you can get that either from the Impact website or MSU websites in terms of what the origin of this photonics and optics is. It's a very interesting story to see how everything evolved. You can see Spectrum Lab there in 1999 and several other companies that are coming up rapidly in the past few years as well. Given our size and given the scale and the number of photonics industry, it's no wonder that Montana has one of the highest per capita densities of photonic companies in the US, which has surprised a lot of people, in fact. So here's sort of some of the original, I would say, entrepreneurs here in Gallatin Valley. The picture you see on the top is of Dr. Ralph Hutchison, who passed away very recently. And his claim to fame is that he has grown or polished the ruby crystal that was used by Ted Maiman to demonstrate the first ruby laser, solid-state laser, for which he won the Nobel Prize later on. So he came to Bozeman, Montana, and along with others, started this materials and laser company to start this photonics story here in Bozeman. Several companies here you see that are very familiar names to people who use these components in their research. ILEX Lightwave, which is now MKS, Quantel, Laser Lab Source that distributes a variety of laser components, quantum composers, wavelength electronics, etc. I mean, there are a variety, several, as you've heard, more than 35 optics and photonics companies in the Valley that make a variety of optical and photonics components that are being used all the way in all the continents, as we heard from Jason. This is well supported, in fact, by applications and research being developed at MSU. So on the left, you see the LiDAR-based sensing work that Joshua's lab and Kevin Dupaskin's lab in electrical engineering. They have developed atmospheric and LiDARs for studying temperature, pressure, aerosols, composition of clouds, a variety of other measurements they can make using their pulse LiDAR systems. On the right, there's some of research coming out of Spectrum Lab, in fact, in the coherent photonics region. We have pioneered the use of what are called FMCW LiDARs for a variety of applications. On the top, you can see Blackmore, one of the companies that was founded by employees of Spectrum Lab, in fact. That are mapping the glacier in Big Sky Resort in extremely great detail. At the bottom, we have results from work that was sponsored by AFRL Dayton, Ohio. We heard the representative this morning about supporting research in universities. And this is a congressional legislative impact to support LiDAR-based sensing at Spectrum Lab and electrical engineering. So we also have Navy supporting our research essentially for imaging through fog and Air Force supporting imaging through turbulence. So they're all the very practical applications that we are engaged in. And the byproducts, obviously, of this, the research that goes on at the university is developing technologies that have very high either technology readiness level or concept maturity level, or I would say component maturity level that is ripe for transition to markets. And here we've got two examples of technologies that have gone out of Spectrum Lab into products that are being used by a variety of consumers today. Two such examples here are Bridge of Photonics, that is now the leader, I would say, in methane emission or gas mapping with their gas mapping LiDAR. They have taken methane emission detection to a completely different level altogether. The kind of sensitivities and the standoff distances they have achieved is amazing. That they're a very essential component of the energy industry, in particular the oil industry now. So the entire oil and natural gas supply chain actually is utilizing their services now to precisely map effluent emission, detection of leaks, and waste management as well in their oil wells. On the other side, we had Blackmore Analytics and Sensors. The three of the founders have connections with Spectrum Lab. They started this company that employed LiDAR, again, coherent LiDAR for automotive applications. And you can see the on the right here, driving to San Francisco, in fact, mapping the downtown San Francisco with a coherent LiDAR and producing extremely precise point clouds. And so that's a technology that was ripe for market adoption, and it was no wonder that Aurora purchased Blackmore, and now is rooted, in fact, is investing heavily in Gallatin Valley. They have pivoted to autonomous trucking, and which is, I think, probably 2024, 2025, you would see this trucks with Aurora LiDARs on them. So what about federal investment? This is the other component that we've talked about, because it's guided many of these efforts here in SBR and STTR. So I mentioned S2 Corporation, which we have very close ties with, and it's one of the companies that we have had extensive licensing agreements with for the past 2 decades, in fact, in microwave photonics. They do a variety of defense applications, and they have been receiving a lot of support from DoD. Several agencies have put in money for their precision geolocation, RF communications, and signal processing efforts. On the right, you see NASA coming up with, these are the 2 companies that got, that are part of our photonics industry here, again, started by 2 graduates from Montana State University 2 decades ago. And they are at the heart of either remote sensing applications or hyperspectral imaging for a variety of applications of interest to NASA. And the fourth bubble that I show, where venture capital, are there investments being made to support when this technology scales up, when these companies are ready to scale. So this is a chart I borrowed from Bill Price, who are the co-founders of Next Frontier Capital. They've invested heavily in several companies here in the Gallatin Valley, and this was their investment plan. So that research roots are planted at the university. They have SBR, STTR funding, and then that's usually a government and industry funding support. and the company start to scale, they hire a business team, the company achieves scale, venture comes in and supports that. So they led the seed A, as you can see on the right, they have made 3 investments in the companies that are connected, that I've shown earlier, and all of them are connected to Spectrum Lab. You see substantial amounts of investments have been made at early stages. In fact, I think if there are people who are interested in business case studies, this is a really interesting case to look at as to how venture capital supported these companies at various stages of their evolution.
No, I actually love this. Sorry to interject, because this is such a common model for a lot of these early stage companies, is this initial type of funding, whether it's academic and or SBIR, and then additional outside private investment when they're ready to get some more traction. So that's
absolutely, yep.
Yeah,
and in fact, that has resulted in other industries that have come out of these funded entities that are actually now occupying a different space in this market, especially autonomous navigation, advanced air mobility, etc. So it's a really interesting connected evolution of a network, of an ecosystem. So the chart, just to revisit the chart, now you have those bubbles we talked about and examples here in the valley that connect all this, that are connected in this ecosystem. On the left, you can see Montana University, Gallatin College, Spectrum Lab for Gallatin College actually has now a 2-year associate degree program, especially in photonic technicians, and that really skilled workforce that's coming out of that has that's being readily absorbed by the photonics industry here locally. So 60% to 70% of graduates from Spectrum Lab are actually getting absorbed in local industry, which is a testament to the skill development program that we have here. And we have a variety of entities here on campus that allow us to build, to make connections and evolve in this ecosystem. Similarly, there's a lot of government support as well from the city, the state, and connections to to national entities as well. And I did give examples of venture, and then a variety of photonics industries that are listed here. Some of them are just coming up because the environment is really rich and fertile to come up with some new ideas. Fix is one. This is the first time a European company is actually setting up roots in Bozeman. This name will come up later on in my talk as well. So, what's the natural outcome of what should be the natural outcome? Obviously, this has been talked about. I mean, we have a rich ecosystem. We have a very fertile, ground here that's driving innovation. There is expansion. There's industry that's being supported. So there's no wonder that Montana has actually been recognized as a major player in one of the 11 designated and funded regional tech hubs. We've heard about this in the panel during the last panel discussion. And so you can see the numbers there. Out of 124 applications or so, 68 applications for a tech hub designation, only 55 for strategy development grants only, and then you down select there are only 11 throughout the nation to actually have a designated and funded regional tech hub. So the phase 2 package has been just submitted. So big congratulations to all the participants there. And as Jason was saying last time, it is based on smart sensors, optical sensors. This is an overall, at least in my vision of where this the sensing landscape can go. I've thrown in quantum as well, which is one of the aspirations here for photonics in the photonics-based technologies to gravitate towards. Otherwise, in terms of applications, there is terrain survey, mining, water quality monitoring, precision agriculture, ecological and environment monitoring, vegetation coverage. There are a variety of applications that the technology, the innovation that comes out of Tech Hub would serve in the long term. And again, MPAC is the lead organization to foster this integrated photonics ecosystem that's being envisioned. So let me make the transition now to quantum. Having talked about photonics ecosystem and how the photonics landscape evolved, is there a similar story that could be applied, or can all these experiences be transferred to quantum ecosystem? I don't want to spend too much time in describing what quantum mechanics is. We've already heard from David. Awesome talk about what quantum computers can do and how they work. All I can say is that quantum mechanics has the rules that describe how really small things behave. So when you describe and try to interact with really small things, weird things happen. So there's quantum weirdness. If we accept that, then lots of things become are very easy to understand. Quantum is the minimum amount of any physical quantity, and photon, which is part of photonics, is that physical entity that describes light or electromagnetic waves. A lot of transformation technological developments have happened due to quantum physics, and they're in use today already. They've already been adopted by the society today. Lasers, GPS, MRI, and a variety of technologies that we don't even think that they have anything quantum about them, but they've been adopted and they're being used almost on a daily basis. So what else can we do with this? And we've heard this really good talk about quantum computers. Can we build computers that are exponentially faster, right? There are a variety of applications that were described. I just listed a couple here. Financial modeling, weather forecasting, you heard about, but more as physicists, people are always interested in looking at fundamental physical interactions. It takes intensive computing capabilities, and quantum computers should come in handy there if they ever get built. Can we make more sensitive measurements? We've heard about quantum biology, that magnetic fields are, or part of the quantum sensing, in fact, that birds even use. So there's already an application there. Can we develop sensors that we can use to make extremely sensitive measurements, or generate ultra high precision clocks so that navigation becomes very precise? Can we measure acceleration, gravity, rotation? There are a variety of attributes that need precision sensors. Or can we make communication systems that are secure? That question doesn't make sense, but anyway, can we make communication systems that are secure? We heard earlier that if quantum computers become powerful, then our encryptions data encryption that we take for granted now might not be as secure at all. These quantum computers become so powerful that you can easily break these encryption schemes. Now, can we use quantum mechanics to counter that? We've heard that you cannot recreate quantum systems. So once you have something encoded in the quantum regime, you cannot easily recreate that. The only thing that happens is that you destroy it, and then users would know that whatever they're using to communicate is lost. So hack-proof encryption becomes possible when you start applying quantum principles. Now, if there are powerful computers, we've seen this several core computers with multiple cores being connected to some links. Transduction was the word used. So can we have this communication systems or quantum communication networks that will allow quantum information to be transported, that allows distributed computing. So you have quantum computers that are already powerful now being used in a distributed sense to make them even more with even more computing capacity. Similarly, distributed sensing schemes. Quantum internet, is that possible? So there are all these architectures, configurations, and applications that are of major interest in recent times. So no wonder if you look at the quantum effort worldwide, there is heavy investment everywhere. It is a bit lopsided. Not every government is investing or emphasizing the investments, but it's happening all over the world. And you can see here, the U.S. National Quantum Initiative has about $1.2 billion. That's been doubled now, but there are other countries such as China, etc., that are almost an order of magnitude more than that. So there's no wonder in 2024 there's a new supplement into the President's 2024 budget as part of the National Quantum Initiative that is looking at these technologies that need support, where investments have to be made so that quantum infrastructure in the country can be built up. Again, you can see these three pillars of the federal quantum information science ecosystem, where government agencies, civilian ones like DOE, NASA, etc. If you can see my pointer, and NIST, NSF are participants. Then the defense organizations, we've heard A4SR this morning, A4L, ARL, Army Research, DARPA, etc., are also chipping in. And then if it goes to national security, then intelligence agencies will come in as well. And then there's the research, of course, is supported by academia and federally funded research R&D centers and industry. So you see, the entities that we've talked about earlier are all, the structures are the same, that there's industry participation, government participation, and academia as well, even in the quantum world. And this the idea here is to support some applications or quantum technologies, let's call them. Like I said, quantum communications, quantum simulators, sensors, and computers that have, that can have attributes that are much different from the classical ones that exist at the moment. But there's also an identification of base technologies or enabling technologies. Again, you go back to optics, high precision lasers, materials, refrigeration technologies, and amongst others. Right, so these core technologies have to be, or base technologies have to be developed first to support all the other applications that are being envisioned. We've already talked about high precision lasers that Montana is already, photonics industry is already equipped with to become part of the supply chain. So let's explore others as being part of the quantum supply chain. But so the question here is, so does Montana have conducive environment to support a quantum infrastructure? So if you look at some of the funding maps from agencies, this one is from NSF. We have one from DOD as well. It looks fairly bleak around Montana. This region has absolutely no investment whatsoever, whereas there are lots of other centers that are being funded all around the country. So you can see there's a lone star kind of thing, just single dot there in this 5-state, 6-state area. And this is true of even DOD related funding. If you get a snapshot of the amount of investments being made by DOD, you see a very similar map. So how well are we set up? So let me take the example of industry here, and then discuss some entities that have already been mentioned as part of being the photonics industry in terms of how they're supporting the quantum research now. ADVR is a prime example. And it has, as Anne knows, it has mastered the art of getting several SBRs, SCTRs, phase 1, phase 2 to support their research. They're very collaborative. They engage with a variety of agencies, variety of universities to support themselves. And so no one, so on the bottom right, you can see a snapshot of one of the presentations by Professor Kuyat from UIUC, where he mentions ADVR specifically as a component supplier for their quantum source, and that's being actually put into orbit. It was supposed to be in 2023. I think it launches either late 2024. Right? So they're actually packaging the source from ADVR and putting it into orbit for doing quantum research. And and cryogenics. I mean, we have one of the best cryogenics industry in the valley. Montana Instruments, again, Luke Mertz, who has close ties with the STU Corporation and Spectrum Lab, founded this company that makes cryogenic systems that look like coffee machines. They're so easy to use. They can go from room temperature to liquid helium temperatures, which is about 3 Kelvin in about 2 hours or so. It is kind of pretty much revolutionized the use of cryogenics for a variety of applications in physics, biology, chemistry. Almost everyone that is interested in low temperature physics uses the low temperature investigations, uses these cryostats here. And they are at the heart of quantum research. We've heard even from the earlier speaker that some of these quantum systems have to remain really cold. And this is one way to get there. And scientific materials. Now, it's part of FLIR, which is part of Teledyne, and they make some of the best materials in the world, amongst other things. Scientific materials develops these rare earth doped crystals, which are at the heart of classical signal processing that we've used for several decades, which is what STU Corporation uses to do geolocation, spectral monitoring, etc. But now the same materials are being used for storing quantum information. As you can see on the right, there are several papers that actually mention the materials they got from scientific materials and use them to store quantum information with high efficiency and high fidelity. You can see rare earth doped crystals being at the heart of what are called quantum memories that allow you to store quantum information and reproduce them with high fidelity and efficiency. And so there is leveraging of this crossover capabilities of Montana companies. That's very clear, right? You've seen the same names on both sides now. So photonics and photonics adjacent capabilities are being now used for quantum and quantum adjacent capabilities. So it's not very surprising that Montana Photonics Industry Alliance actually added a Q to their name and now call themselves Montana Photonics and Quantum Alliance. And it's a natural transition. And Jason spearheaded this, this discussion. What about the universities? What's going on at MSU, for example? So this here is a representation of the work being done under what's called the Quantum Foundry, the Monarch Quantum Foundry. It's Montana, Arkansas, University of MSU and University of Arkansas collaborative effort to produce or fabricate what are called these 2D quantum materials, which have a variety of applications in sensing, in light generation, and you name it. There are applications in the various quantum technologies. And the idea is to have a foundry that can generate these with high consistency, high purity, and Professor Nick Boris and I've lead this effort. And it's amazing that this is one of the 2 centers in the entire United States that's funded by NSF. This is a very highly competitive solicitation, and to be awarded this as one of the 2 entities in the country. The other one is I think UC Santa Barbara. It's an amazing achievement, and it's a testament to the strength of the resources we have and capabilities that exist here. And on the Spectrum, from Spectrum Lab side, our collaborators, Spectrum Lab, along with the collaborators in electrical engineering and physics, we have been fortunate to receive support from AFRL Rome, New York. Dr. Hayduk's name was mentioned. He is our program manager. And they've been very supportive of the efforts here to build what's called a hybrid quantum network testbed. I'll go into slight details about what this network is. And I'm sorry, I'm way past time, but I've got a few more slides. Is it okay if I just rush through them? You're muted.
I would say you are fine. You are fine.
Okay.
You are our capstone keynote here. So
okay, thanks.
no
So yeah, and just sort of so this was a $20+ million effort. Plus with with supplements, etc. I think it's about $25 million from NSF for about 5 years or so. And then here we have 3 phases of building a quantum network across campus being supported by Air Force. And this is again, each phase is roughly of the order of $6+ million. So we've got almost $18 to $20 million of quantum funding from DoD here. So what do we do under this interconnected quantum network? The idea is to develop a fiber optic network. We've heard from earlier speakers that you need to transport quantum information. You need to connect nodes. There's no point in simply having a quantum computer doing something, but you need to have a connected network that allows exchange of quantum information or have secure communications. So we are building that fiber optic network on campus. We're building it using special fibers that have multiple pores that allows us to expand the channel capacity. And there are various advantages of using a special fiber like that. And we're actually testing out, as we speak, what the performance specifications of such a network would be. Yesterday, I think we have a fully functional bidirectional link between 2 nodes that over 2 kilometers or so that we can send both quantum and classical information that can support multiple users. We're hoping to put this fiber underground in the coming months, and by summer we should have a 3-node network functional. If there are places where fibers cannot go, we're support that with what's called free space optical network. It's a direct line of sight. You can see if you can see from point A to point B. You can actually send information as well, and that's a direct line of sight link. And so where fibers cannot go, we're going to send this information directly over air. There is issues with turbulence, etc. So how do you counter that? So that's part of the research that Air Force is interested in trying to figure out all these parameters and stabilize that link as well. The third part of this is to make a network of mobile platforms. So we've got fiber underground. This is free space or the air, and this is a mobile transitory network with UAVs or drones or so. Again, we're teaming up with a local company, Vision Aerial, that is providing us with the drones where we can potentially use them for supporting quantum platforms and providing us with communication links. And then there was this discussion about quantum memory and quantum repeaters. So this is a good example of what's going on in physics department using both cryogenic technologies and the materials that are produced here. This allows us to expand our communication links. This acts like a fiber amplifier in classical communication networks. So this allows us to store information and regenerate it to extend the link length. You heard of quantum transduction. How do you connect two different computers that are operating on completely different physical principles? So again, so this combines the cryogenics and materials technologies here. There's one quantum computer working in the microwave region, which is a superconducting qubits computer, like the one that IBM was using in the earlier presentations. And then there are others that are working in the optical region. So how do you extract information in the microwave region to an optical domain? You use quantum transduction principles. And so the materials that are being used for memory are also interestingly useful for performing quantum transduction in a cryogenic environment. Again, we are well placed in both counts. And finally, for quantum frequency conversion, if there are two quantum systems that are working at completely different wavelengths, how do you make them connected? So you need to have a source that actually can change colors with, again, preserving the quantumness, and that's called quantum frequency conversion. ADVR is in this space. So it connects all the dots here that the three companies that I mentioned: materials, cryogenics, and sources. So now that we have this support quantum infrastructure already, base quantum infrastructure already in terms of materials through Quantum Foundry, in terms of networking through the AFRL supported quantum networking testbed, where do we go from there? The natural choice now is to vision is to combine these two efforts and then come up with an entity that allows not only just R&D on both materials and devices, but also work on tech transfer, commercialization, and economic development, as well as workforce development. So all these necessary skills and techniques and approaches are all being brought under one umbrella, and it's called Applied Quantum Core, which stands for Capacity and Operational Resilience and Regional Equity. So as I have shown you earlier, it's a very bleak environment around, despite that there's not that many resources available. So can we become that regional facility that allows access to the researchers all around us, both in the quantum domain and the photonics domain? And we did get, as through Congress or legislative initiatives, support for this. And again, it's sponsored through AFRL Rome. This is a $26.7 million effort that we just started, but we're in the first quarter of that. Mm-hmm. So this is building on top of our base capabilities of materials and device research. What does this testbed support? Again, these are the three applications that we're looking at: quantum computing, quantum net communications, quantum sensing. So we are not necessarily developing quantum computers, but if there are quantum computing vendors that want to test their capability, we will have a test bed where they can plug and play, and then use this for benchmarking, for performance evaluation, for specifications, etc., under a variety of environments. And we have support now from several other entities that are part of this: Quantum Strategic, Luke's company, Quantum Qubit Ventures, Nardo spoke earlier. We've got Impact, we have Tech Transfer, and the VPR's office, all working together to sort of facilitate this umbrella organization. And we are bringing in, like I said, a variety of functionality as well. We are working with companies that are working on, different quantum computing. So there are two different examples of companies that are already producing materials or components for quantum computers. Rigetti, you saw that chandelier, golden chandelier. Blue Force is the one that produces that dilution refrigerator, which can allow you to go to millikelvin, very, very close to absolute zero. And Rigetti is another company that produces wafers with superconducting qubits. So can we interact with them? How do we test them for their quantum capabilities? Orca is a quantum computing company that works on just using photons as their qubits. And there are no atoms, there are no ions involved. They're just using linear optics. And can we use the photons themselves as qubits to perform some computation? And we're going to have them couple into our network and then test their quantum computer here in Bozeman. And then we do have on the quantum communication side, we're going to interact with geospatial. It explores a geospatial core, who is developing airborne platforms for in his case sensing, and in our case communications. And then physics has new faculty and existing faculty that are working on a variety of aspects of quantum sensing. And we've heard about neutral atom taps. We've got other quantum physical researchers going on that allows us to test sensing capabilities pretty soon. I'm not going to any of the details, physics details. I'm just going to show pictures. So where does this, now what are the sustainability pathways here, right? So we've got a lot of research going on. We've got some initial investments being made into workforce development and commercialization, but we need support, prolonged support to sort of sustain this example. And that's where the two recently funded efforts come into play. And it's innovation engines. In fact, it's one of the few innovation engine phase 1 recipients in the country. The idea there is to build the right ecosystem to sort of support this transition, support especially related to quantum research. And then Daniel Giuliano received funding for accelerating research translation. So if there is core capability being developed, can that be transferred? And can there be quantum entrepreneurs in the Valley? And how can they be supported? What kind of environment do they need to be successful? We're going to go back to, as of finishing a couple of slides, go back to the lessons from Montana Deep Tech, right? From photonics, what we've heard. So figure out what aligns with the US strategic priorities, could be commercial, civilian, defense, it doesn't matter, economics, whatever is a strategic priority. Align the investments with those. We look at research areas where Montana maintains a competitive advantage. We've seen that in photonics, and then focus on technologies ready to commercialize, and we've seen examples in photonics. And similar lessons could become experiences could become applicable for quantum as well. So what would be the strategy? Again, just to reiterate, technological innovation that is necessary to maintain competitiveness, sustainable innovation ecosystem to support these growth objectives, active collaboration between academia, industry, government partners, etc., and leverage that. And then finally, it comes to investments from venture, private investors to sort of cultivate that mutually beneficial opportunities. Are we, do we have those capabilities? Yeah, we've just looked at examples of a variety of entities supporting each of these strategic objectives. There are resources like Applied Quantum Core I talked about, MSU Spectrum Lab, microfabrication facility that's actually going to become a nanofabrication facility now, Optech, headwaters, Tech Hub, etc., or the clusters, photonics cluster we heard so much about, innovation engines, integrated photonics cluster that's going to develop. And then a variety of supporting agencies that are already putting in a lot of money and through various mechanisms here. And then companies, in fact, we heard from David, about inflection. So we're working with companies like these where they can bring their systems and then plug into our test beds and then test and then come up with some performance metrics. And venture capital as well. We've had several representatives here, Qubit Ventures, Homestake, we heard from Jeff, NFC. There are various other private equity firms here ready to invest, provided there is the right environment and certain technological readiness level is shown. I think it's for some reason mine.
And that's,
Oh,
there you go.
so yeah, thank you for, so are we, to answer the question, are we ready to, or do we have the right environment here? You bet.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, Krishna, thank you so much. This was the perfect keynote to talk about and really, kind of what's next, what we're doing here. And I appreciate you so much. This is wonderful. For folks, I don't have these slides yet because he messed them all up. But,
Yep.
but it is, we did go over. Thank you. I'm so glad. It was so good to hear this. Yeah, I hope folks that the lobby is going to stay open for a little bit longer. The expo hall will stay open for a little bit longer. I want to make sure that folks know that you can go and visit some of our partners, just a few. I wish I had time to kind of get some more people there, but definitely some of the people that are helping to support our programs here at MSU, but also have broader expertise to help you as small businesses to kind of commercialize your technology are out in the expo hall. So take a moment to visit there. And Krishna, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. I will close out this webinar, keep the lobby and the expo hall open. So I'll come and visit you out in the expo hall. Bye, guys.